Hello students, welcome to Dr. Deepa Dhake's Need Biology, and today's session we begins with the next topic from transport in plant. That first we compare about the transpiration and photosynthesis, and then after we come towards the mineral uptake as well as mass flow hypothesis for the phloem transport. In last week, due to some unavoidable circumstances, actually according to regular schedule I can't post the upload the video, so extremely sorry for that. And from this week again and today onward, regularity will be there. So let's connect with channel and start the transport in plant. When we begins in transport in plant, so today first we discuss about transpiration and versus photosynthesis. That comparison we made, that how the transpiration and photosynthesis are the two important processes in plant. Now when we study here, so first here you remember transpiration, actually the process in which we already study, the process in which water loss is take place in the form of vapor. So here you remember in transpiration, water lost as vapor firstly. But if you come towards the photosynthesis, so in photosynthesis water is used in oxidation reaction. So this part you remember, water is used in oxidation. Photosynthesis we study in next sessions, coming sessions. After that, transpiration is responsible for to pull water plus minerals from root towards the shoot. Transpiration pull we already studied. But when we discuss about photosynthesis, photosynthesis you remember mainly it responsible for conversion of photonic energy into or radiant energy. We commonly say the photonic energy get converted into chemical energy predominantly in terms of glucose we observe. So in terms of chemical energy you remember. Third, if you remember for transpiration, so transpiration you remember causes cooling effect in plants. That means the effect by which the temperature of the surrounding atmosphere decreases by 3 to 4 degrees Celsius in huge trees when the regular transpiration is take place, and that's why the effect of the transpiration on atmosphere and environment is called as cooling effect. Photosynthesis never provide any such effect, but it provide oxygen for other living beings. So the photosynthesis provide oxygen which is required for the life of other living being. Next, if we come towards transpiration, so transpiration you remember transpiration responsible for unidirectional flow of water or ascent of sap we study already. So transpiration you remember it responsible for unidirectional flow of water, whereas in photosynthesis the food which is synthesized, that food with the help of phloem transported in bidirectional way. So photosynthesis ultimately result in food transport, and this food transport always be take place in bidirectional way. How it transported in bidirectional way, that we discuss in the same session when we come towards the phloem transport. So this part you remember, and after that unidirectional flow and food transport or bidirectional flow. Next you remember the impact of CO2. Here transpiration, high concentration of CO2 partially stop the process, because as we already discussed, the high percentage of carbon dioxide, concentration of carbon dioxide, or if the concentration of carbon dioxide is increases around the stomata, then the stomata become partially closed, and that responsible for decreasing or stopping the process of transpiration. But in case of photosynthesis, you remember, this high concentration of carbon dioxide never affect the process of photosynthesis, and mainly we study the C4 plants. C4 plants are mainly adapted to fix the more and more carbon dioxide. So photosynthesis, when we come towards the effect of concentration of carbon dioxide, so you remember no such effect is observed. And secondly, you remember the CO2 fixation, whenever CO2 fixation in photosynthesis take place or CO2 reduction is take place, CO2 fixation during dark reaction will result in the formation of glucose. So this part you remember when we come towards the comparison between transpiration and photosynthesis. For transpiration, you very well remember that Curtis was the scientist. They provide one important statement for the transpiration, that transpiration is a necessary evil. So that part you remember very well. And second, for objective purpose, you remember the cooling effect in plants or atmosphere is caused by, so cooling effect you remember is mainly caused by the process of transpiration. So here we sum up one short topics are now provided in NCERT. So after actually transpiration phenomena and ascent of sap, this one topic is provided, that transpiration comparative analysis for transpiration in photosynthesis. Next, now we come towards the mineral uptake or the transport of mineral ion. So now when we come towards or study about mineral uptake, so one thing you remember, what kind of uptake, whether uptake or we commonly say uptake means upward transport, but when minerals are absorbed by the root, so they always be absorbed along with water in the form of sap. And secondly, when their absorption we study, so we already discussed that there are two types of absorption, active absorption and passive absorption. So when you study about mineral uptake, so predominantly you remember, whenever we study mineral uptake is mainly take place by active absorption. Now what is the reason? This is most important part, because most of the children knowing that or they remember that the minerals are, or most of the time they absorb by the active absorption. But what is the reason behind the active absorption of mineral by the root or root hair? So two reasons are there. Because of that, the minerals are always to be absorbed by active method. Active absorption, I think all of you know. Active absorption, first you remember, during the process of absorption of mineral ions, when ATP is used, then it is called active absorption. Now why the ATP is used? Because the absorption of ion is take place against concentration gradient. So whenever absorption is take place against concentration gradient, then you remember that is called as active absorption, and from low to their higher concentration minerals are absorbed, and that's why the cells are required the ATP. So this part you remember. Now when we study about or we come towards this portion, मिनरल अपटेक आप पढ़ना स्टार्ट करते हैं. सो ड्यूरिंग मिनरल अपटेक आप यहाँ पे याद रखिएगा, फर्स्ट रीज़न दैट वाई एक्टिव एब्जॉर्प्शन. सो मोस्ट ऑफ द मिनरल यू रिमेंबर, मिनरल्स absorb present in the form of charged molecules or ions. And one thing you remember, for charged ion or for charged molecules, plasma membrane is impermeable. So charged ion, and for this plasma membrane of root cells or root hair is impermeable. This is the first reason that why the mineral ion undergoes inactive absorption. Second reason you remember, secondly, inside soil concentration of mineral ion is less as compare to the cytoplasm of root cells. So this part you remember very well, okay? These are the two reasons. Because of that the active absorption is always be take place inside the root cells for the process of mineral uptake. When we come towards the mineral uptake, so one thing again you remember, this mineral uptake predominantly take place in unidirection way. This part is clear to all. Unidirectional way means only from root to shoot along with water these mineral ions are to be transported. Second part you remember for mineral uptake, that the tissue which is responsible for their transport, so xylem is responsible for their transport. And again the most important part you remember here when you study for competitive purpose, so one of the most important part here you remember that the membrane of endodermis or the cell wall of endodermis you remember show the presence of suberin, and therefore through that suberized cell wall water can't be transported, and for that reason you remember some carrier protein, this part is more important, some carrier protein means in cell structure we already studied about the structure of cell membrane or plasma membrane, and over there we studied the some of the intrinsic proteins are forming channel gate or forming a path for transport of these ions. Those integral proteins you remember are called as carrier protein. So here you remember carrier protein is responsible for transport of these ions, and this transport is always be take place by active absorption. Most of the important ions if question is asked, so you simply remember N, P, S, K. These are the important part hai, which are to be transported via the carrier proteins. Nitrogen in the form of nitrate ion, phosphate, sulfur and potassium. These are the mostly mobile element and solubilized element, and they are mostly transported. Unidirectional में सभी transport होंगे, but these four element number of time question is asking for these four element, that the group of element which is to be transported in unidirectional way. All the elements are transported, but specifically this part is mentioned, so you remember this part for your objective exam. Now we come towards the transport of food or phloem transport, that how the phloem transport is take place, and secondly when we study about the phloem transport of food transport, so mainly here important two things are more important, that one the relation between the source and sink, how this relation of source and sink is vary and it depending on the season. So first is that part you remember. Second part आप याद रखिए, the second part or the second type of questions from phloem transport commonly asked, that is asked for the loading and unloading phenomena. So now we discuss that how the phloem transport take place in bidirectional way and how the source and sink are interrelated with each other. Students, now we come towards phloem transport. Now most important thing, most important thing when we study about the phloem transport, that you remember, and most of the students are knowing, the phloem transport is mainly associated with food transport in plant. First thing you remember. And when we come towards food transport, then what kind of food or what is the form of food? One of the most important question. So here you remember in phloem transport, you remember the sucrose is the ultimate food, and along with sucrose some of the hormones are also to be transported. But predominantly if the question is asking for the type of food which is to be transported in phloem, then you remember that the sucrose is mainly responsible. Sucrose is mainly transported. Secondly, this is a kind request to all the students, when you go through the study for phloem transport, one time you very well clear your concept about the components of the phloem tissue, because when we study about the loading and unloading phenomena, so these tissues, that sieve tube element, companion cell, phloem parenchyma, all these parts are there. So already videos are there for the tissues, primary and secondary tissues, so you can go through those videos also, lecture, or from NCERT you can prepare on your own or revise one time, and then you come towards the transport of the phloem. So here you remember sucrose is the most important food which is to be transported. Then if you come towards the direction, so food transport, you remember, always be take place in bidirectional. Don't be confused in multi-directional way, because earlier classes I think some books are provided that the phloem transport or the food transport is take place in multi-directional way, but now onward you only remember the food is transported via phloem in bidirectional way, that upward as well as downward direction. Now why the bidirectional way is take place? So here you remember the phloem transport is take place from source towards sink. This part you remember very well. Now what is source and what is sink? This part is again important. Conceptual part is this. Source means, you remember, the site where food synthesis is take place, that predominantly leaf normal conditions, or in addition to food synthesis, the site of the plant where food is stored. So simply you can say the site where the synthesis of food and storage of food is take place, those sites in plant is called as source. And sink, what is sink? Sink means, you remember, the sink means the site where food is required by plant part. So any site, suppose the food synthesis take place in leaf and the root is required that particular food, then the leaf is a source and root is a sink at that particular season. So this part you remember very well. After that, one of the most important statement, that the relation of or interrelation of source and sink, relation of source and sink mainly depend है आपका, source and sink depends on season or seasonal variation. So this part you remember, how it depends on season, that we will study, but this is one of the most important statement, that the relation of source and sink is dependent on the seasonal variation. For example, statement को समझने के लिए ध्यान दीजिएगा कि for example, if in any plant, just symbolically I show here, this is the phyllosphere or leaf area, and under normal condition means throughout the season when the plant become leafy and show the entire leaves on the aerial surface, in that condition the leaf or phyllosphere of the plant is called as source, and from this leaf food is transported towards the root part or towards the underground part. So underground part is said to be sink. Now what is happening in most of the plant or in some of the plant, you already studied that the underground part of the plant is responsible for the storage of food. Like potato आपने study किया है, turnip study किया है, onion को study किया है in morphology section में. So over there आप जब ये study करते हैं, so at that time you remember in root some of the part of the foods become stored. So this is the storage zone also, as well as this serve as a sink. So small amount of food every time it to be stored inside the storage zone. Now what is happening during next season, suppose the autumn foliages take place or when the phenomena of senescence is take place in plant. So during the phenomena of senescence, you remember senescence and abscission, I think all the children are knowing that the leaves become yellow slowly and then all the leaves become fall down or shed off, and from 10 to 15 days the plant become or the aerial surface of the plant remain as without leaf. In that condition, when the leaves are totally absent in plant due to the autumn foliage, or in spring season also we appear the fall down of the leaves. So in that condition leaves are completely absent here, and in this area, so the relation of source and sink now become invert. How it invert? Because in aerial stem or in aerial shoots, suppose these are the different shoots, and in these shoots these are the axial buds are present. Now when all the leaf become fall down and these axial buds slowly start to become a leaves or develop into leaves, so initially they required the food for the development processes and growth processes, and in that condition this storage region where the food is stored, from this storage zone now the food start to move towards the upward direction only for a short duration of time, not throughout the year or not for a long time, but only for a short time duration. This storage zone initially which is serve as a sink, now this storage zone, you remember this storage zone is serve as a source, and initially the aerial surface or the aerial shoot which serve as किसके जैसे serve कर रहा था, which serve as a source, now that part is serve as a sink, and that's why we use this statement, or the statement is provided that the relation of source and sink depends on the seasonal variation. So now is it okay कि in most of the season aerial surfaces serve as a source and the root or the underground part and other part of the plant are the sink where the food is required, but slowly in underground part the food also store for a short duration, and when the leaf fall is take place in trees, so after leaf fall for 10 to 50 days up to the new leaves are coming out or develop, by that time the aerial surface has become a sink and the storage zone which is earlier serve as a sink, now it becomes serve as a source. So for food transport, you remember whenever transport is take place, transport of the food is only take place from source towards the sink. So this part you remember very well, how the variation is appear or the source and sink relation is changed as the seasonal variations are appear. According to that the storage zone or the sink and source relation change. Most common example in potato plant or in onion plant, the leafy area normally become a source and the underground part where the tubers show the storage of food, that is a sink. But when we planted a new onion or when we put that potato for the production of new plants of potato, so that potato tuber now serve as a source and the new plant where the leaves are start to emerge, those part is said to be sink. So this simple relation you remember. Now we study one of the most important part for to explaining the source and sink relation, that you remember the mass flow hypothesis. This source and sink relation and the transport is provided or explained by mass flow hypothesis. And this mass flow hypothesis, you remember, this mass flow hypothesis was provided by Munch. So it is commonly called as Munch mass flow hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, the food is transported in the form of sucrose, and whenever food is transported, the food transported in the form of mass flow, that means the bulk amount of food is transported from source towards the sinks. So mass flow hypothesis also you explain the transport of food or sucrose always be take place from source to sink, and this transport from source to sink is take place in bulk or in mass of molecules. Instead of one by one transport of the molecule, the bulk movement of molecule is appear, that is called as mass flow. Now why this mass flow is appear? And during mass flow at the site of source, simply you remember when we study about the loading and unloading phenomena, loading means the food from normal cells transported or first time uploaded in the phloem tissue. First it uploaded in companion cell and then it uploaded in sieve tube element. So from the mesophyll cells, when the food is transported in phloem tissue, that phenomena is called as loading. Loading is always to be take place in source. And at the sink you remember the phenomena of unloading is take place, though the part of sink and source may be vary, but unloading means from phloem food is again transported towards the cells of the root. So this part you remember. Now with the help of diagram we study how from source to sink food transport is take place and how the loading and unloading phenomena is appear. Now we discuss about the mechanism of mass flow hypothesis, or it is also called as pressure flow hypothesis. So here when we study about mass flow hypothesis, this hypothesis also called as pressure flow hypothesis. Now here you remember, as we already discussed, the hypothesis was proposed by Munch. Munch was a German plant physiologist and he proposed that concept that the sucrose from source to sink is transported in bidirectional way, as well as whenever the translocation of sucrose is take place, that translocation is take place in the form of continuous flow or in the form of regular flow. Now how does this transport is take place? That we discuss. First we come only with the help of diagram we discuss this mechanism of mass flow. This diagram I strictly follow the diagram which is provided in NCERT, and then with the second diagram we study how the cells are responsible for the loading and unloading. The leaf surface show here, this surface show the source where the synthesis of food is take place, and underground part of the plant, that is a root and root hairs. This part you remember is responsible for the demand for food, and the area where the food is demand, that is called as sink. So the root is showing the region of sink and the leaf or the aerial surface shows the source or the area of source. Now here you simply remember, in simplest term we study this diagram. Here the vascular tissue show the xylem and phloem. Secondly, here we already study the leaf is mainly made up of mesophyll cells, and in these mesophyll cells, mesophyll differentiated into palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma, and in these mesophyll parenchyma cells chloroplast is available, and that chloroplast is responsible for the synthesis of food. Food is synthesized. This is one of the mesophyll cell, and from this mesophyll cell, you remember, the food is transported in phloem. Inside the phloem, it enters in sieve tube element or sieve element we say. So first you remember the food is synthesized in mesophyll cell, and that sucrose from the mesophyll cell transported in phloem. From phloem, the phloem is now connected with here we draw this phloem tissue, and this phloem tissue is connected with the stem as well as root. In phloem tissue at some distance we appear the sieve plate or sieve plate area we commonly say. So these lines transversely are showing the sieve plate. Now when the phloem start the translocation, as the food is regularly required in the cells of root, therefore the negative pressure is generated for the sucrose in root, and here the positive pressure that the more amount or concentration of sucrose is available in leaf. Because of that, the difference in pressure gradient, the flow of the sucrose is begins from source to sink. That's why the hypothesis called pressure flow. The flow of the sucrose is continue as well as it take place in bulk or in mass. That's why the hypothesis is also called as mass flow hypothesis. So now as the food is loaded or transported in phloem, and via phloem or sieve cells of the phloem or sieve tube of the phloem, you remember, mainly sieve tube, you remember, sieve tube of the phloem. Here you remember the transport is begins when the sucrose is transported in sieve tubes. So in sieve tube the concentration of sucrose is increases or hypertonic condition is developed, and because of that the xylem which is present towards the side by side of this is the xylem. Just for explanation I draw this xylem in this way. So from xylem now the water is start to move towards the phloem, and this transport of water from xylem towards the sieve tube or towards the phloem tissue is take place in horizontal way, not in upward way. Because of that the sieve tube element will show the high concentration of sucrose. Now this sucrose along with this water start to move towards the root. In root cells, here again you remember from the phloem tissue inside the root, food is again transported or unloaded towards the cortex cells, and as the sieve tube element unloaded the sucrose from sieve tube towards the cortex cells, the concentration, you remember, the concentration of sieve tube element or the concentration of sucrose in sieve tube element is decreases, and that's why again the water which is enter from xylem towards the sieve tube or towards the phloem, now this water is returned back towards the xylem. So this is actually explained in NCERT. Now we come towards the same explanation with another and easy diagram. So whatever to be explained in NCERT for phloem transport or for pressure flow hypothesis, you can easily understand. Here we draw easiest explanation. This is one of the cell of the leaf. This cell, you remember, this is the cell where the chloroplast is available, and in this mesophyll cell, because of the chloroplast, synthesis of sucrose is take place. Now this cell, you remember, is attached with or in association with the companion cell, and companion cell from here this is the cell of leaf, this is the cell of the phloem tissue, and these both the cells, this cell hexagonal cell, this is one cell, and in phloem tissue this cell is present, and now this phloem tissue is associated with the sieve tube element. So here we continuously show the stem where the sieve tube element is available. So this is our sieve tube element, and in this sieve tube element or in this sieve tube at particular distance, so sieve plates are available, and the pores which are present in sieve plate, via those sieve pores the transport or the translocation of sucrose is take place. Long distance transport is actually called as translocation. So here you remember, this is we showing the leaf as a source. At the site of source, you remember, concentration of sucrose gradient is more, and that's why loading phenomena is take place. Now what is loading? Loading means the molecules of sucrose from the mesophyll cell start to enter or transport inside the companion cell. From companion cell, here you remember, these sucrose molecules now translocate or transport in sieve tube, and because of that in sieve tube the concentration of sucrose molecule increases. So to maintain this concentration, besides the phloem, you remember, besides the phloem, xylem vessels are present. Here we show these xylem vessels, and these xylem vessels you remember, mainly sieve tube xylem vessels when we draw. So we predominantly draw the sclerenchymatous fibers. So these are the xylem vessels which are formed by the xylem conducting element, and here if you know, then the deposition of lignin is available, and because of that lignin deposition the cell wall of the xylem vessels become thick and some of the weak area are appear. These area are called as pits. Either the pits are simple or pits are bordered pits. So these all are, earlier I already told that you know very well the component of the phloem as well as of the xylem. So this part you remember, in only part of section I draw the pits also from where the water transport is take place. Now what is happening? In this xylem tissue water is available, and when the concentration of sucrose is increases in sieve tube, so water from xylem start to move towards the phloem tissue. Because of that the sucrose concentration becomes slightly decreases, and then with mass flow or due to pressure flow, a kind of pressure is raised here, and the sucrose molecules start to move towards the root or towards the sink with the help of this sieve tube element. Now what is happening at the surface of the root? Here this is the phloem tissue which is present inside the root. This is the root we show here, and here again the companion cell is present, and besides the companion cell the cortex cells, one of the cortex cells of root is there. So this is the cortex cell. One cell only we show, cortex cell of root. This is again companion cell, here you remember. And now the water, along with water, when the sucrose is entered, so this sucrose molecule now enter in companion cell, and from companion cell the sucrose is transported in cortex cells or in the cells of the root. This you remember. Now inside the cortex cells, this sucrose broken down into glucose and fructose and used in cellular respiration. And this is the reason that for cellular respiration this sucrose used as a respiratory substrate, and therefore there is a regular demand of sucrose in the cortex cells or the root cells. And when continuously this sucrose is undergoes an unloading phenomena. Now why the unloading is take place? Because sucrose here broken down into glucose and fructose, and the concentration of sucrose is goes down. So sucrose pressure or sucrose concentration, here you remember sucrose concentration is low, and this is the reason according to gradient sucrose or the food transported from the area of source towards the area of the sink. Now what is happening when the sucrose from the sieve tube continuously unloaded and enters inside the cortex cells, the concentration of sucrose in phloem become decreases, and because of that you remember again the xylem tissue which is present surrounding to the phloem. So water again, whatever amount of water from the xylem transported in sieve tube element, that water again, that water you remember again start to transport inside the xylem vessels, and in this way the pressure gradient of the sucrose is maintained in between the source and sink, and in this way you remember the translocation of sucrose is completed from the region of source to the region of sink. The variation may be appear, and the source and sink variation relationship is totally dependent on the season that we already discussed. So in one season, if the surface area of leaf or the aerial surface of the plant behave as source, so maybe in next season, that means the season particularly in deciduous trees, when the leaf fall is take place in that particular season, this surface is behave as a sink, and the underground part of the plant where the food is stored, that behave as a source. So this part you remember for the mass flow hypothesis. When you revise this portion for your NEET exam, so you very well pay attention on the reason behind why the ions are not to be transported by passive transport. They always transported by active transport. Cooling effect of the transpiration, one of the statement of Curtis for transpiration, as well as this mass flow hypothesis or Munch hypothesis also we say. That hypothesis you very well remember for the process of, mainly for the process of translocation of food. So for today's session, we finish with today's session. I complete my today's topic, as well as the chapter transport in plant also we completed. So the students who are new for the session, they kindly subscribe my channel, like my videos and share my videos. And again, if you feel any doubt in this chapter or in any chapter or topic of biology, so feel free to ask those doubts and difficulty. And secondly, now you start to prepare for your NEET exam, so you kindly maintain your spirit and motivation throughout the session.